You've seen creators get cancelled before, and you've seen some never recover. But Pokimane managed to survive repeated backlash and still remain one of the biggest names in streaming. How did she rebrand herself without a dramatic comeback or public redemption tour? In the early days of Twitch, there were only a handful of streamers who truly understood the platform's unique language. The blend of real-time interaction, entertainment, and the illusion of intimacy. Among them, Pokimane, Ennis didn't just understand it, she mastered it. She didn't become famous because she was the best gamer or the loudest personality. She became famous because she felt like someone you could sit beside while watching a game, someone who could laugh, rant, and genuinely connect with viewers in a way that felt personal. Her rise wasn't built on controversy or drama. It was built on consistency, charm, and the ability to make viewers feel seen. But with fame comes scrutiny, and the internet has never been gentle with its idols. As Pokimane's audience grew into the millions, so did the number of voices criticizing her. Every word she said, every collaboration she made, and every decision she took became a public event. In a world where creators are expected to be perfect while also being human, Pokimane's brand began to face a challenge that many influencers eventually encounter. The expectation that she could never make a mistake without being destroyed for it. The backlash wasn't just a single incident, it was a series of moments that threatened to redefine her image. This is where the real story begins, not with the controversy itself, but with how Pokimane responded to it. Unlike many creators who respond to backlash with anger or denial, she chose a quieter path. She didn't attempt to drown out criticism with louder content. Instead, she adjusted her tone, refined her brand, and began to rebuild in a way that was subtle, strategic, and effective. Her rebranding wasn't dramatic, it was intentional. It was a transformation that happened over time, not in a single headline. One of the most significant moments in this journey was the launch of her snack brand, Snacks, and the subsequent backlash over pricing. In late 2023, Pokimane released Midnight Mini Cookies, priced at around $28 for a 4-pack. Almost immediately, the internet erupted. Critics accused her of being out of touch, of exploiting her audience, and of pricing a product far beyond what her community could afford. The reaction was swift, intense, and unrelenting, the kind of backlash that can quickly become a defining moment in a creator's career. What made this controversy so important was not just the criticism itself, but how Pokimane handled it. During a live stream, when a viewer complained about the price, she joked that it made her brain go boom and referred to the viewer as a broke boy. The clip spread across social platforms, and many saw it as evidence that she was disconnected from her own audience. For some, it became proof that her success had changed her. For others, it was simply a moment of poor judgment. Instead of reacting defensively or ignoring the criticism, Pokimane did something that signaled a deeper shift in her approach. She apologized. She explained the reasons behind the pricing, citing ingredient costs, production, and the reality of building a new product line. More importantly, she acknowledged that she had made a mistake in the way she responded. She expressed a desire to make future offerings more accessible and to learn from the feedback. In doing so, she did not just defend her product, she defended her brand by showing she was willing to listen. This moment marked a turning point. The backlash could have been a catastrophic blow, but it became a lesson, a crash course in communication, branding, and audience expectations. Pokimane began to realize that her relationship with her audience wasn't simply built on entertainment. It was built on trust. And trust is fragile. The snack controversy wasn't the only time she faced backlash. Over the years, she encountered moments where her words were taken out of context, where she was accused of hypocrisy, or where her actions were scrutinized under the harshest possible light. There were times when she deleted tweets that sparked debate, only to face criticism for deleting them. There were moments when she had to address internal disagreements with fellow creators publicly, navigating the complicated terrain of loyalty, professionalism, and public perception. Each controversy was a test not only of her public image but of her ability to adapt. What stands out about Pokimane's approach is that she didn't try to erase the controversy. She didn't pretend it never happened. Instead, she used it as a pivot point. She didn't become a different person, she became a more deliberate one. She began to treat her brand like a long-term project rather than a momentary internet sensation. This is the essence of her quiet rebranding. She didn't rebuild her image in one dramatic moment. She rebuilt it through consistent choices. One of the most important strategies in her transformation was diversifying her content. In addition to streaming, she expanded into podcasts, YouTube content, and long-form discussions. The Impulsive podcast, for example, was not just a new platform, it was a new identity. Podcasts require patience, reflection, and nuance. They allow a creator to show depth and thoughtfulness in a way that live streams often don't. By participating in long-form conversations, Pokimane positioned herself as someone who could engage in complex discussions, rather than someone whose brand was limited to entertainment and gaming. This shift in content also helped her move away from the constant need for viral moments. On Twitch, the pressure to generate reactions and clips can be intense. But podcasting and long-form content allow for slower, more meaningful growth. They let creators develop a narrative around their identity that isn't based solely on sensationalism. For Pokimane, this was a chance to reframe her public persona. In addition to content diversification, Pokimane also began to speak more openly about serious issues, especially those affecting creators and women in gaming. One of the most significant topics she addressed was the issue of non-consensual AI deepfakes and digital exploitation. She openly shared her experiences and concerns, turning a personal threat into a broader conversation about online safety and ethics. This was a powerful move. It allowed her to shift the conversation away from her mistakes and toward issues that mattered to her and her community. The shift wasn't just about changing content, it was about changing tone. Instead of reacting to controversy with defensiveness or sarcasm, she started to speak with clarity and purpose. She began to establish boundaries and communicate them. She became more careful with her words, more intentional in her actions, and more mindful of the long-term impact of her choices. Her public image started to feel more mature not because she stopped being herself, but because she became more aware of the responsibility that came with her influence. This approach is especially important in the modern influencer era. Today, audiences are more demanding than ever. They want authenticity, but they also expect accountability. They want creators to be real, but they also want them to be responsible. Pokimane's rebranding shows how to navigate this tension. She didn't abandon authenticity, but she added responsibility to it. Another key part of her rebranding is her relationship with criticism itself. Instead of treating criticism as an attack, she began treating it as feedback. This doesn't mean she accepted every accusation or surrendered to internet mobs. Rather, she learned to recognize when criticism was valid and when it was simply noise. She became more selective about what to address publicly and what to ignore. This is a subtle skill, but it is essential for longevity. Many creators collapse under the weight of constant scrutiny because they react to every comment. Pokimane's quiet strength was in learning when to respond and when to let things pass. This doesn't mean she became immune to backlash. The internet is relentless, and even the most careful creators will face criticism. But Pokimane's transformation is visible in how she navigates it. She responds with clarity, addresses issues when necessary, and moves forward with consistency. Her brand began to feel stable not because she became flawless, but because she became reliable. Looking at Pokimane's rebranding from a broader perspective, it's clear that her journey is about more than surviving controversy. It's about evolving into a creator who understands that fame is not just about attention, it's about responsibility. Her transformation shows that the most successful influencers aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They are the ones who learn from them, adjust, and keep growing. Her story also highlights a crucial lesson about modern celebrity. Rebranding doesn't require reinvention. It doesn't require becoming someone entirely different. It requires intentional growth. Pokimane didn't abandon her roots. She didn't stop streaming or interacting with her community. Instead, she became more thoughtful, more strategic, and more resilient. She turned Backlash into a tool for growth rather than a weapon for destruction. Today, Pokimane remains one of the most influential creators in the world. She has built a brand that is not defined by a single controversy, but by her ability to adapt and evolve. She continues to stream, create content, and engage with her audience, but she does so with a more mature sense of purpose. She has learned how to protect her brand without losing her authenticity. The quiet rebranding of Pokimane is not a story of dramatic redemption. It is a story of steady transformation. It is proof that in the internet age, where backlash can strike at any moment, the most powerful comeback is not the loudest one. It is the one built on consistency, growth, and a willingness to change. And perhaps that is the real reason her rebranding is so compelling. it feels real. It doesn't feel like a PR stunt or a manufactured comeback. It feels like the journey of a creator who faced the harshest parts of internet fame and chose to become better not just for her career, but for herself. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, it really helps.